Our story today starts in a city called Fairhope, Alabama, with a man named Stephen Shields. It was a Saturday morning. It was 30 degrees out, cold, frozen, uncomfortable. But Stephen prided himself on waking up at the rise of the sun every Saturday and going to the gym. Now, Stephen had a group of friends that he had gone to the gym with for many, many years. But unfortunately, recently, these friends had tapered off. They had fallen into the trap of modern day life. They spent their Friday nights drinking heavily, and Saturday mornings were more of a bedtime morning than a gym morning now. But still, Stephen felt a sense of pride getting up every Saturday and going to the gym. So on this cold morning, he bundled up. He started his car, but when he went out, there was still a thick layer of ice on the windshield. So naturally, Stephen went to go break it off and chip away at it so that he could get to the gym quicker, so that he could get on with his peaceful Saturday. But as Stephen went to go chip away at that ice, he heard a sort of chaotic yelling in the distance. He lives in a suburban neighborhood and looks down the street, and a flock of birds in the morning that were resting in one of the neighbor's trees just massively burst into the air, running. And he hears this yelling, and he's confused. Naturally, he reaches down to his side to grab that pocket knife that he has always, which was his only line of defense other than his fists and his will. He's confused, but Fairhope never really has problems with crime. So he tries to settle down and just think sensibly. But as he starts to try and think sensibly, his mind's thrown a little bit of a left curve, because a bald, shirtless man is running down the street at 5:30 in the morning in 30-degree weather while everything is frozen. And all he hears now as the man approaches quicker and quicker, closer and closer, is, "You don't know me, son! You don't know me, son!" He is shocked and confused and doesn't know what is going on. He thinks to himself, well, I mean, occasionally we get some meth heads in this city. Maybe one just went closer to the suburban neighborhoods. But he realizes the guy is fit. He may be really skinny, but he's not meth head skinny. He's got muscle, and the man's moving at a rate that is equivalent of that to a meth head running, but he just looks too properly formed for running. So then his mind skips a beat. Maybe the man was out partying last night and he's still on a bender. He's been railing lines and he got drunk all night and he's just running. But it doesn't make sense. As the man approaches to run by his house, he sees his face. And when he looks in his face, it's not a look of intoxication. The man has a bloodthirsty look on his face, like he is going to war at 5:30 in the morning, shirtless in 30-degree weather, running down the street of a suburban neighborhood. Stephen is flabbergasted. He just doesn't understand what is going on. And as the man begins to reach right in front of Stephen's house, he continues to yell, and all Stephen hears is, "It's 30 degrees out. It's 5:30 in the morning. I'm 22 miles in, and these people are just waking up." The man runs by Stephen's house, disappears around the corner. Stephen's jaw dropped. He was confused and had no idea how to process that information. So what Stephen did was turn off his car, walk back inside, and get back in bed. He felt defeated. He felt like someone had taken his soul. He felt like a demon had came and ripped his soul from his body, and his willingness to wake up early and go to the gym disappeared because that demon had forced it away from him. But it wasn't a demon that had done that. No. It was a man. And that man was David fucking Goggins. Before we get into David Goggins' story and how you can use it to improve your own life, please give this video a like and share it with anybody that needs a little bit of a kick in the ass to move forward towards reaching their goals. And if you are dead set on crushing every single goal you set for yourself, obtaining your dream physique, obtaining massive wealth, whatever it may be, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But if you aren't committed to that, then hold off for now. There's no worries. You can come back when you're ready to crush every goal that you have for yourself. And for those that are completely committed to reaching their goals and doing everything I just stated, well, currently we have 75% off of the Founding 100 on Patreon for Living Unrivaled, where you can now be a part of a community of people that are all trying to do the same thing. We're all helping each other reach our goals, and you'll have early access to seeing what is the topic of each week's episode, as well as a chance to have your story featured on that week's episode as well. So go ahead and head to patreon.com/DylanEddy, where we are building a community of like-minded individuals all achieving success. So without further ado, here is the story of David Goggins and how you can use it to better your life. Most people think discipline is optional. They think success is about getting inspired. But this isn't a story of inspiration. It's a story about obsession, pain, and pushing through everything that should have broken you. It's about a man who was abused, humiliated, laughed at, left behind, and nearly failed out of life completely. And by the time you're finished with this episode, you won't just know who he is. You'll know how to become unstoppable yourself. Most people know the very basics of the David Goggins story. 300-pound man is unhappy with his life, decides he wants to become a Navy SEAL, but has to lose a massive amount of weight in a tiny period of time, pulls it off, makes it through Hell Week, and now he's a motivational speaker. But Goggins' story starts so much earlier than that. And to leave out the details of what brought him to that journey does not do this story justice. Goggins was born in Buffalo, New York. Goggins' father, Trunis Goggins, owned a roller skating bar. In today's day, a roller skating bar seems like a very strange business to have. But in 1983, when Goggins was 8, a roller skating bar was the prime of nightlife. It was the home of sex and drugs, and it proved to be a very lucrative business. So with that being the case, Goggins lives in a nice suburban neighborhood, and to the outer-looking eye, it looked like they had a happy, successful family. But if you went inside, you'd see that it was a home of torment and hell. Goggins and his brother were forced to work at the roller skating bar at the age of 8. His mother worked there too, and she was forced to see his father having sex with other women. They were surrounded by an environment of drugs and sex that no child should ever have to be around. It does not shape a child in the way that is sustainable and healthy. Goggins' mother knew this, but she was tied down financially. She didn't have any income. His father controlled it all. But she was able to confide in a friend, and that friend helped her strategize and plan a way to get out, but escaping with her kids was going to be so difficult. But she pulled it off. One day, she was able to escape the home, bring the kids, and run off to rural Indiana. But that past haunted them for the rest of their lives. They remembered this evil man that abused them, tore them down, and he lingered over their shoulder for the rest of their lives like a tormentor that never leaves. So the first lesson is pain and struggle. Situations like this are so difficult to ever look back as positive because they are not positive. But in every situation of pain, torment, and struggle, it's all about what you can extract from it. And it took until Goggins decided to become that Navy SEAL for him to extract the pain from these lessons of a child. He was able to recall the pain of abuse. And when you're able to be beaten as an 8-year-old repeatedly, defending your mother from getting beaten, carrying some logs on a beach during Hell Week doesn't seem as bad. But for years, Goggins allowed himself to be limited and held back by the belief that he was nothing. His father told him he would be nothing. He moved to Indiana and his teachers told him he would be nothing. He had massive stuttering problems and learning disabilities, and that shapes someone to doubt themselves. But again, what can you extract? It's always the wins in the battle. It's not, I was always beaten and held back by my father. It's, I survived the beating. It's not, I had a stuttering problem and a disability. It's, what did I learn even though I had that disability? And it took Goggins years and years and years until he was a grown man fed up with his life to realize that. But he harnessed the pain. He harnessed the value of the wins he was able to get. And he was able to transform that into a career as a Navy SEAL. Do not let your pain shape the person you become. It doesn't have to be a limit. It can be a hurdle and a barrier for entry, but you will pass it if you are willing to get over it. As a child in Indiana, Goggins faced excessive racism, but he didn't just not fit in with the white kids of his school. He didn't fit in with any ethnic group. He was an outsider to everyone. He found himself trying to be someone he wasn't just to fit in. Tried different crazy hairdos, pulled insane stunts just for attention, and he began to become more and more not himself. After a period of time, Goggins began to be fed up. One day, he removed that crazy hairdo. He showed up as the person he was, and from there on out, he didn't care. He chose to be Goggins. And if you can't be yourself, then you're never going to go down the journey that you need to go down. So that crucial step Goggins took when he was young shaped him into being Goggins. As many times as he faltered from being Goggins throughout the years, he had set up the baseline for knowing there's no point in trying to impress other people. There's no point in being someone you're not, because especially nowadays, it leads to problems. People try to be whoever they think others want them to be, and Goggins does not settle for that. He is relentless in being who he is, and who he is someone who chases down pain and tackles it. He faces problems dead on and is not afraid to do what will build him and make him stronger. Fast forward years later, now we're at the part of the story people know. Goggins is overweight. He's working for Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches. He's not happy, but he feels trapped. He feels like he's stuck in this. He's settled that this is going to be his life, and that's just the way it is. Day in, day out. Work, milkshake, TV. Work, milkshake, TV. Heavier and heavier. Less fulfilled, less fulfilled. One night, though, on TV, there's a commercial that pops on. A military commercial for a Navy SEAL. Now, everyone's watched a Hell Week video. They've seen the struggle people go through, and I think many people in the, what do you want to call it, no days off community, the no days off preachers, we'll call it. There's two sides. I think a large percentage of one side is the people that watch Hell Week videos kind of like pornography. They insert themselves into the situation and just say, yeah, that's what I'd be doing. But deep down they know they will never be in that situation with those people. But it makes them feel good. They feel gratification, some instant gratification. And then they put down their phone and move along with their day, forgetting it until the next time they want to watch that. And there's maybe another percent of people on the other side who see that and they go, that is what I will do. I am going to let go of everything else I have in my life, and I'm going to pursue that. And that's what Goggins did. At 300 pounds, he had to lose over 100 pounds in 3 months. And he was down to the timeline barrier to enter into the SEALs. Didn't stop him. He calorie restricted to the max. He started pursuing physical training to a breakable point. And his body began to break. He pushed it, and it started to tear down. But what didn't break is his mind, which is Goggins' biggest tool, his most critically acclaimed asset. Whatever your body cannot overcome, your mind can. And this is the beginning of the journey of Goggins callousing his mind. He began to learn how mental strength is how you push yourself to seek greatness. The only way you will ever reach your goals is if you can set aside every weakness and just keep going. Acknowledging that you're going to feel fear, pain. You're not going to desire to do what you have to do. But if you will still do it, that is when your mind is calloused and you can handle anything. He escaped his miserable life and he did what brought him fulfillment, and that was becoming a Navy SEAL, getting through Hell Week. And this is why he is a motivational speaker today, because he preaches what he practices. He's not the large percentage of people just watching a Hell Week video and saying, I would love to be the person that makes it through. I'm not going to ring that bell. How easy is it to say that you wouldn't ring that bell? I personally do not know. I could never know unless I make it through or I ring that bell. Goggins didn't know either, but he fortified his mind and he made it through Hell Week. When you hit rock bottom, you have two options: surrender your mind or fortify your mind. Goggins chose to fortify his, and look where it got him. When you hit rock bottom, you have two choices: surrender your mind or rewire your entire brain. Goggins chose to rewire his brain and fortified his mindset to obtain everything he wanted. And that's what you can do, too, to reach every single goal you have. Well, Goggins didn't just make it through one Hell Week. He made it through 3 Hell Weeks. He became a Navy SEAL. He graduated from Army Ranger School. He became part of the Tactical Air Control Party in the Air Force. I mean, the man started obsessing over overcoming obstacles. And he did this through what he called the 40% rule. He claims that whenever you think you are done, whenever you feel like your tank is empty and there is nothing left to give, you are only 40% of the way through exerting what you have. You still have another 60%, which is insane. But he's proven this time and time again. And the other people that have adopted this ethos and been able to utilize it all agree that it works. Now, he had this revelation through an experience where he wanted to do something for a foundation that helps veterans. It's called the Wounded Warriors Project. It helps families who have had people in combat who have either died or been injured. And to do this, he had to compete in the Badwater race. Now, anyone who has ever heard about ultramarathons, the name Badwater is the top. It's the premier. It's in Death Valley, 135 miles. There's some crackhead-looking burnt beef jerky guy cooking an egg on the asphalt because of the heat. But you can't just enter Badwater. You've got to qualify. So Goggins contacts the race director and says, what do I got to do? And he says, well, you got to run 100 miles in 24 hours. Goggins didn't have long distance training. He's just a crazy motherfucker. But anyone who has ran even just a marathon will be able to understand how unfathomable it is to run 100 miles without any long distance training. The amount of willpower and ability to push past physical pain is absolutely insane. And Goggins did it, running off powdered donuts and just pure will. Goggins ran 100 miles in one day. He was peeing blood. He shit himself. He was torn apart. But he realized that when he thought he was going to quit and was completely done, he was only 40% of the way there. And he was doing this to get to a place where he could help other people. But through this experience, he established the 40% rule. And if you can adopt that into your own life, there are no limits on where you can go. Because when everyone else is stopping because they think they've had enough, you've still got 60% left in your tank, and you know how far it'll carry you. Discipline isn't the tool, it's the algorithm. It's being able to push forward when you think you're going to quit. If you can adopt the Goggins mindset, there are no barriers on where life can take you. Discipline isn't a tool, it's an operating system. Goggins doesn't wake up seeking motivation. He wakes up every day ready to suffer. And that's what it takes. Motivation is meaningless. It's obsession that guarantees success. Discipline is the algorithm, but just like any algorithm, it takes daily execution for it to work. So my final challenge to you as a listener is take the Goggins method, apply it, physically test yourself, document your pain, and build a new identity through repetition. Most people will see this and go right back to their excuses. But if you made it this far, you are not most people. So like I said before, if you're committed to becoming physically fit, mentally indestructible, and a savage when it comes to reaching your goals, then subscribe to the channel, join us on Patreon, and I will see you all in next week's video.